Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching my video. This is my very first video that I'm ever making, so thank you so much. I do apologize for the audio quality and video quality. I'm hoping that will improve later. But today I want to talk about a subject that is very close to my heart and I'm very passionate about, and that is the benefits of living a vegetarian lifestyle and why we should be vegetarians. So I would just like to first of all say that I am a vegetarian and there are different types. So some people who still eat seafood and eggs and things like that, they call themselves vegetarians, and there's different sort of definitions of it. But the one I am is I don't eat any animals at all, anything that basically had a life or came from a mother or anything like that. So no animals, no seafood. I don't eat eggs either. I don't cook and eat raw eggs or anything like that. I mean, I don't cook and eat eggs and nothing like that. I do drink milk and yogurt occasionally. To be honest, I don't have a lot of it, but I do have some dairy and cottage cheese for protein. So just to clarify that. So let's just get straight into it. So the first benefit of being a vegetarian, and of course there are many, but I just wanted to focus on the top 5 that I thought were really important. The first one is probably the one that you've heard of, the most common benefit, and that is health. It is very healthy for people to live this type of lifestyle. It's been shown in numerous health studies and by medical professionals that living a vegetarian lifestyle and not consuming meat, it reduces the chance of getting a lot of major diseases. These diseases include things such as cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity, and a lot of major, really not good diseases to have can be eliminated a lot if you don't consume meat. The reason is, of course, because meat contains a lot of fat, and not only that, a lot of chemicals, toxins, and unnatural products, things such as hormones, antibiotics, and things that are fed to the poor animals. When we eat the meat, it comes into our system as well, and this can cause disease. Also heart disease, which is the #1 killer in the United States right now. That can be greatly reduced. The chances of getting that can be greatly reduced if we don't eat meat. So #1, being healthy, of course, and the chances of being overweight, as long as you balance all the food groups and you don't overdo on the sugar level or anything like that, and you make sure that you get your iron and vitamin B12 and things that you may be missing. And if you get that from other good healthy sources, then the chances of being healthy is a lot higher. And so it's very important to not only have a long life, but a healthy life, right? So that we can achieve things that we want to do. So definitely living a healthy, long, happy life, vegetarianism is the way to go. And the second point is money. I know that's something that we'd all like to save a little bit more money or have a little bit more in our bank account. That would always be nice. And if we adopted a vegetarian diet and basically did not eat meat, and so we didn't have to buy it, we can save a lot of money. Meat is, of course, more expensive than fruits, vegetables, legumes, grains, and other things. I know generally the food prices have gone up a lot in the last 5 years, but overall meat is still a lot more expensive, and especially if you want to get organic meat and things that are, slightly more healthy. I mean, meat is meat, but they do have more organic meat as well, and so that's going to be even more expensive. And generally speaking, fruits and vegetables can last a lot longer, whereas meat is perishable. And fruits and vegetables can be composted, and a lot of them, just their life of how long they're able to last is a lot longer. And you can just basically have more money in your wallet by not buying meat. And so for us on a microeconomic level, meaning for individuals, it'll save each of us money. And also on a macroeconomic level, meaning for governments and economies. Right now, the government spends a huge amount of money, quite a large amount of money on health costs for meat-related diseases. So if a lot of people didn't eat meat, they wouldn't have those diseases, and the government could save that amount of money and use it for other needs of the country and economy. Right now, the US spends about $60 billion a year. So 60 billion, and I've gotten my facts about United States. And that's just what I found, so I'm just focusing on the States. They spent about $60 billion a year, so that if that was greatly reduced by people not eating meat, a lot of the money could be saved. So on a macroeconomic level and also micro, we could really save money. Now the third point I want to talk about, actually, when I was looking up facts on this, this point actually surprised me the most. I was the most shocked to find out about some certain facts and figures, which I'll let you know as well. And so the third benefit is that you could really save our planet, and what being a vegetarian could do to our planet and help our environment and wildlife, and just overall the safety and benefit of this beautiful planet. So basically you could really reduce global warming. Okay, so we'll just get to that. You could greatly reduce global warming. Global warming and climate change and all, it's a real threat that's happening right now, and it's a reality, and people realize that it's something that we have to deal with. And sometimes when I would hear about that, I would think, okay, us as individuals, what can we do to try to help with the global warming? But actually, being a vegetarian and having this lifestyle, it could really help reduce global warming. And the reason is because a lot of the raising farm animals, it generates greenhouse gases, which is very bad for the world. In 2006, I'm just reading from my notes here so I can get all these interesting facts for you. In a 2006 report, United Nations said raising animals for food generates more greenhouse gases than all the cars and trucks in the world combined. All the cars and trucks in the world combined, it's still, all of those cars and trucks together, they still produce less greenhouse gases than raising farm animals. That's a large amount. The livestock sector accounts for 9% of the carbon dioxide deriving from human-related activities, but produces a large amount of even more harmful greenhouse gases. And carbon dioxide, which is a major culprit for global warming and greenhouse gas effect, although that is dangerous, there actually is a lot. There's other greenhouse gases that are actually bigger culprits and responsible more than CO2, and are quite detrimental to the world as well. And those gases are things like methane and nitrous oxide. Methane and nitrous oxide are also produced a lot, and they also come into the environment a lot when animals are reared for food. And so far it says here that cows and sheep are responsible for 37% of the total methane generated by human activity. And with methane emissions causing half of the planet's induced warming, methane reduction really needs to be a priority. Currently, the livestock industry generates 65% of human-related nitrous oxide. And nitrous oxide has 300 times the global warming potential of carbon dioxide. 300 times the potential. So if we can really reduce methane and nitrous oxide, that would have a huge impact. Also, they say that reducing other greenhouse gases, it actually, sometimes, although CO2 is important, reducing CO2 or carbon dioxide, it can have sort of effects on the economy long term, and it's not as easy to do. Whereas we can reduce methane and nitrous oxide a lot faster, and it won't have that much of an effect. To have a couple of facts here, it just says, in principle, even 100% reduction could be achieved of these other greenhouse gases with little negative impact. But in contrast, similar cuts in carbon dioxide would really affect the economy. Also, lowering other greenhouse gas emissions, it could happen, as I mentioned, much more quickly than fossil fuel burning technologies. So fossil fuel burning technologies, that will reduce CO2, carbon dioxide a lot, but that takes a lot longer, and it's easier to get rid of the other gases in a shorter amount of time. The turnover rate for most farm animals is about 1 to 2 years. So if we reduce the meat consumption, we can really drop the greenhouse gases a lot faster than carbon dioxide. Whereas, carbon dioxide through cars and trucks, reducing that could really take decades. And also, carbon dioxide, CO2, it can remain in the air for almost a century, whereas methane goes in about 8 years. So if we focus on these other greenhouse gases, we can really have a positive effect. The next environmental effect is saving large amounts of water. It takes a large amount of water, between 13,000 and 100,000 liters for 1 kilo of beef, whereas wheat and things don't take as much, so we can definitely save water. Thirdly, our oceans, rivers, and waterways are really being polluted. A lot of it comes from the manure, which contains so much chemicals and toxins from the animals, and that gets into our waterways, and it really affects us. The next environmental effect is destruction of topsoil in tropical rainforest. Livestock production, which is basically rearing animals for food. Livestock production, it accounts for 70%. That's a large amount. 70% of the deforestation that happens in Latin America right now. And rainforests, in Latin America, there's a lot of nice forests there, and they're being cleared to make land to raise animals, basically to kill them and eat them. And so they're cutting down all these beautiful rainforests, which releases carbon dioxide in the air, contributes to global warming and all that, and also gets rid of the beautiful forests and makes our planet less healthy. Livestock farming can also cause soil erosion and deforestation, as I mentioned. And it's also a major cause of the loss of biodiversity, of course. The next thing is this is all under environmental effects still. So this is why I was so surprised to read these facts. The livestock industry is responsible for, as I said, a lot of the deforestation and getting rid of natural habitats of animals. So wildlife is being threatened as well because their homes and their habitats are being cleared to make land. So they no longer have these forests to live in. And a lot of species that are already endangered, they're being wiped out because of it. And they're losing their homes and they're just dying out in not a good way. So another topic which I'm very passionate about, wildlife conservation. A lot of these homes, again, habitats of wildlife are going, and it's really affecting our environment. And these animals are dying out just because we're ruining our earth a lot and getting rid of a lot of the forests. And of course, there's antibiotics, growth hormones, and chemicals that are fed to the farm animals. And that's affecting not only our bodies, but the environment. I'm going to just quickly read you some things that are fed to the animals. Penicillin, erythromycin, and inorganic arsenic. Arsenic is fed to the farm animals and before they're killed, and we ingest them. And that's the most toxic form of arsenic. So that, of course, can cause cancer, dementia, neurological problems. Just an endless thing. And I could go on and on. There's so many facts. If you want to look this up more, you'll realize how much of an effect it has. And we could really reduce the amount of land, water, and oil resources if we really reduce our meat consumption and help environmental sustainability. And here's my notes here. Sorry, I keep looking at those. Just don't want to miss anything. And just really, there's a study that shows here the single most important thing that we can do to really help the environment is adopt a vegetarian diet. So I would really encourage all of you to do that. And the fourth point would be being a vegetarian, the benefit. It really helps your mind to be a lot clearer. Your thoughts, actions, and therefore behavior would really be affected in a positive way by being a vegetarian. I really believe you are what you eat, and a lot of people believe that too. And there's a belief that when you eat animals, when they're killed in such a horrific way and you eat them, the feelings that they felt when they were being killed, so things like anxiety, worry, sadness, and all the sort of negative feelings, they all come into us here. And I believe all foods sort of have an aura to them. You'll notice when you eat a really nice salad or good food, you'll feel good right away. Same things when you ingest the blood and meat of animals, it's just going to come into you. And they say a lot of the animal qualities, in quotation marks, will come into us. By animal qualities, they mean negative qualities such as aggression. They say aggression is associated with red meat, anger, all that sort of the bad qualities of not being calm and things like that. I'm not sure why they call it animal qualities, because a lot of the times I think animals behave better than humans, but generally they mean just the not so great feelings can come into us and we start behaving like animals instead of humans. For any field, to be productive in any field, you need a clean, pure mind, and that calmness and peacefulness is very important. And so the best way, one of the best ways, is to just live a vegetarian life and not consume any meat. And just that feeling of peace and love, and of course non-violence and everything, it will not only make our bodies healthier but our minds. We've all heard of the power of thoughts and the power of the mind, and eating meat can have subtle effects on the mind, and that of course affects our behavior and then ultimately our future. So to be focused and productive, we really need to have a clean, calm mind, and being a vegetarian really helps with that. And the last point I want to talk about, and probably the most important to me, and the one that's closest to my heart, and the reason that I'm a vegetarian, it's not just because of, because a lot of people are doing that right now, but this is the reason that I'm really a vegetarian, and that is compassion. We really have to show compassion to all beings of this earth, and non-violence, not only to other humans, but all beings. We were all created for our own purpose, and we were all created to coexist together. If you look at animals, a lot of the time they don't hurt humans. They don't purposely come and hurt us, only if they feel threatened in any way or there's something like that. So they just mind their own purpose, their own business, and they live their own life. But it's only humans that go out of their way to go and kill them. So we don't really have any right to do that. And I think we should just really stand up for non-violence and compassion for all beings. And animals, they have feelings and emotions just like us. They have families. They have that motherly, nurturing feeling when they give birth to their, offspring, and they feel a lot of those same emotions as we do. So we really have no right to take away their happiness. And a lot of you probably have domestic animals such as cats and dogs and care about them very much. And I'm sure if something happened to them, you wouldn't be very happy about that. So it's a very similar thing. We can't just separate and say, oh, that's my dog and cat, domestic animals, whereas those are wild animals that are meant to be killed. No. Or those are farm animals. No, animals are animals. They're all the same, and we have no right to kill them and eat them. And just like how you wouldn't want anything to happen to your dog or cat, same thing. And so it should spread to all types of animals, really. And also I believe that we have to be the voice of animals. We have to stand up for them, and because they cannot communicate in a direct way to us. So we have to be their voice and say, no, I believe you can live your life normally, and I'm not going to kill you and eat you. And one of the best ways we can really stand up for them and be their voice is by adopting a vegetarian diet. And lifestyle, I should say, not diet. And you'll just feel a lot better overall, a lot of calmness, compassion, and just happiness within you, knowing that you're contributing. I believe that's the real nature of all of us inside. So we should have integrity and ethics too. And one of the best ways to actually have the integrity is incorporate our beliefs into our life, and we can do that by being a vegetarian. So I really encourage you to do that, and it will really be a positive change for you. So if you're somebody that has been eating a lot of meat or anything, and you've been thinking about it, or know somebody that has, I would say just try it. Try it for a little bit. Take small steps. Don't cut it out completely, or it'll be really hard for you. Just maybe reduce it to a few times a week, and then eventually when you notice the good changes, you can cut it off. And just stick with it. Let's say you fall back on the goal and you don't reach it, just keep trying again, and you'll be really happy when you start to see the effects of it, and give it some time too. So yeah, thank you so much for watching my very first video, and if you have any tips or suggestions for anybody, you can leave them down below. And I just want to encourage you all to give it a try and see how it is, and I'm sure we can spread compassion and non-violence to all beings of this world. So thank you so much for watching my video and for sticking through the whole video, and I will see you next time.